Welcome to the FrequentSEE Network. Frequent, capital S, capital E, self-empowering experts giving you a self-empowering experience, sharing authentic connections about sound, light, energy, frequency, vibration, and most of all, love. There is nothing more authentic than being the love that you are. You are invited to join us in our freaky side of life, where you can change your frequency and upgrade your life. We are 4 generations of women empowering you to love your life even more. Here we flow.
We have our group of 4 generations. We have Mia Kelly, Kristen Wall, Josie James, and myself, Cynthia O'Neill. We want to thank you all for being here with us today as we are going to be jumping right in to do our frequency forecast of the day. Since we'll hear a little bit more and some descriptions about the frequency forecast from Kristen Wall, and she will start us off and maybe explaining a little bit about our frequency forecast, because I know we have probably some new people that come in to hear what we have to share with everyone. And I think more and more people are getting really excited about learning something new about that we live in this frequency-based world. And it is everything. And I actually have an educational program I'm putting together called the Freaky Side of Life, FREQY, the Freaky Side of Life, change your frequency, change your life. And so these frequency forecasts that we do, we talk about how we can change our frequencies when we have certain frequencies that are going on that have an effect on our life. And we may be noticing them, but don't realize that there is some specific things that are going on that we can make adjustments to when we are aware. So, Kristen, I'm going to start you off, and that will get us started today as to what our conversation will be, because we all have experiences with these frequencies. And does that sound freaky to all of you? But good, because I think freakiness is fun. All right, come on in, Kristen. What's going on today?
I love it, Cynthia. I'm happy to be here today, October 20th, looking at the frequency forecast, which I'll generally explain it as a bioacoustic practitioner and studying sound as a frequency. We have these sounds that are changing in our environment just due to the stars, the alignments, the planets, everything is shifting, and we're able to measure that day by day and see what is coming online, what frequency is strong. And so us as little, receivers or antennas, we can feel the shift in frequency and what it's doing. So I like to use the word as it's activating or it's putting this certain frequency in stress, and as an understanding the frequencies and how they kind of come in, I like to translate them to a muscular level, because right here our consciousness, how we're speaking, we're talking, we're aware, we're living in a state of beta generally, where our body is generally around, it's 4 to 8. Oh no, let's see, 7 to 14, 8 to 13. Some of these numbers are different across the board when I've studied them. And this is just how we generally kind of walk through life in our awareness. So we're in the state of beta, 7 to 14 cycles per second, which you can translate to our brain waves.
Yes.
And going across to understanding bioacoustics, that is, if we look at our body as kind of a harmonic, a piano, and we have harmonies. this translates, this beta state translates to our emotional and our muscular level. So we can really have this transfer across of where we're at in consciousness, that it's really playing on our emotional and muscular skeletal levels. And we can kind of see that, you know, we experience pain and we have these big emotions. So I like to generally translate the frequencies of the day to that muscular state. What's coming online today for October 20th is our auricularis, and that is our ear. So how can we, like, how do we understand this or implement it into our daily life? How I would look at it as more of an intelligent aspect of it, rather than your ear sharing with you, like, oh, maybe you have a pain or a buzzing sound inside of your ear, or, you know, your ear is the signal and it's getting you to notice it a little bit more. The inner telling or the intelligence aspect of it is, or through a consciousness, subconscious aspect of, like, hey, maybe things are coming up that you're not feeling like you're heard, or um, having to do with our hearing in that way. So these are what to look out for, as this frequency of our ear is online. Of, okay, maybe there's a pain or a signal that's getting your attention, like a physical aspect, or maybe it's showing up in your thought world of feeling like you're not being heard, or maybe others are telling you that you're not hearing them, something having to do with our hearing. So let's use conscious language as a way to balance this out, in whatever way it's showing up. I like to use mastery systems, translation of the different body parts, as I've been a coach for them, and it's just brilliant work. So if you're experiencing any issues of hearing, we can translate those to issues of hating what you have heard, or not hearing what you choose to hear, and maybe needing to hear words of love. So the conscious upgrades to that are speaking. I love what I hear. I love all I hear. I hear what I love. What I hear interests and engages me, and my world is harmonious in every way. So these conscious language upgrades will satisfy a physical level as well as that emotional level of what's happening. So again, I love what I hear, and really just speak that for yourself. It's going to be a great balancing tool, frequency, no matter what, if you're noticing pain or if you're experiencing that at all. These are just to balance out what the frequencies forecast is for the day. So Cynthia,
Yes.
any
Well,
experiences or comments, like what's going on?
big time here, because there's a few things that are coming online for me with what you're saying. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Mia and Josie have to say, especially from their place of experience, being, Josie being 98 and being where she is. And those situations come up, I'm sure, a lot around hearing. And then Mia, the younger generation, Josie and Mia are, they're, we talk about the generations, Mia's in her 30s, Josie's in her 90s. Look at this great difference as far as hearing one another, the different generations. Are they listening? Are we listening to one another? Are we having conversations that we can hear? Are we feeling loved? Are we hearing that we're loved? A lot of that's been coming up with conversations I've been having a lot from the different generations. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation too, and us hearing one another from where we are. The other thing is, it made me think of, otoacoustics, within bioacoustics. This is all about auricular. How do you say it? Auricular. auricular, as far as the ear. What's the pronunciation there?
Oh, the actual muscle that's coming online.
Yeah.
I have written down the auricularis.
Yeah, auricularis. There we go. The auricularis. And so in bioacoustics, Sherry Edwards had talked about where she heard sounds coming out our ears. So we speak from a place of hearing, and I'm realizing how much frequencies that we give to the world through our ears. I mean, we don't just hear with our ears, we also give frequencies with our, that come out our ears, right? We give ourselves information. Are we listening to our own self and the frequencies that could give us a better way to hear or to even heal ourselves? So I'd like to have a conversation around that. And that's just, fascinates me since the very beginning when I began working with bioacoustics and Sherry Edwards. So that's a really fun thing to play with. The other thing is I've been noticing a lot of people having in that area of that muscle, that the hearing, the auricularize, I get that, auditory and verbal processing here, but that their teeth, people are having I've had several people have issues with their teeth, with their dental, having to have a tooth removed or something, and they're farther back. So I'm wondering if that pain that they're feeling in their teeth, the in those areas too might be coming online as well. And if anybody's having those kind of experiences. I also have had several people that I've been working with that, a lot of the hearing aids and still having problems. There's a lot of things going on with putting electromagnetic radiations directly into that area, into the ear, because of the technology we use to help people hear. And I get curious as to whether we're having kind of a double double whammy. Like, yes, they can hear better with them, but also they're more dependent on these hearing aids, and they're also the electromagnetic radiations having a great damage on the keeping that in the head and the brain healthy. And I'm finding a really difficult time really. Well, I'm voting people's permanent victory in the light, to see them that this is helping them, so we can transform the consciousness of making sure that what we're utilizing is working for us to hear one another. And yet, is there something that is interfering with our ability to communicate with one another? So I'm putting those things out there because I'm having, all of those experiences right now have been very much in my awareness around that particular frequency. So that's what I'm experiencing. And just a little feedback from you, Kristen, with what I just shared, and then we'll pull in whoever's going to pop in, Mia or Josie, on this very thing, to be of service at where we're at. Each one of us is. So what do you think about all I said, Kristen?
Yeah, it's all so interconnected. It's all, yeah, very, very interesting how one thing can lead to another. And I do believe that once we start to have these signals that just come online and get our attention, it's enough to pull our attention away from our world in to what's happening inside of our body. That's what we're listening for. And I'd be curious to see how many, just like with what you talked about with the teeth, and how it may be actually an ear thing coming online. I know for me, I have had on my right side an upper tooth that I'm feeling a little bit of just achingness in it. And I did realize that it's not from my tooth, it is from my ear. And what is that? Why? Maybe let's ask the question of what's going on, or um, you know, figuring out what the source is from. And um, yeah, it's also, all of this work is very interesting when we approach it from a frequency based, and asking like what is it trying to tell me?
Mm-hmm. Yes. What do you think about, giving, the frequencies that come out our ears, or otoacoustics? Do you know much
Yeah,
about that? Hmm.
I haven't heard otoacoustics much.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll speak to that a little bit more later. And so Mia or Josie, I don't know who would like to come in and talk about your experiences with, the ear, and some thoughts around that. Um, would you like to pop in here and speak to this frequency that we're talking about? Hearing? Can you hear me, by the way?
Well, of course, I'm very aware of the excuse my voice. I've got laryngitis. Uh,
Oh,
I'm
it's
very
just,
aware of the disability, I guess you'd call it, whatever. I can't think of another word, of not being able to hear so much more now than in my younger years. I now live in a residence of elders, and a good percentage of the residents are almost deaf. And they it's a challenge for me, because when I'm conversing with them, my challenge is to be able to be patient, be kind, and be thoughtful of the fact that it's something they can't help, no matter how many times they ask you what, you know to be receiving them in a loving way. And that frequency of being able to hear is something that's uh, very frequent in this our age time.
yes. And here's what's really interesting for me, Josie, is you being heard. And right now, you having this experience with laryngitis, that, your voice is being um, silenced almost. And so you're not being heard, and you're in those kind of places where you're um, having to speak up, or not have those conversations because it's difficult when you're not being heard. And with that, what I said, so Kristen, I love if you're in a position to kind of look up while we hear a little bit back from Josie about that. Could you take a moment to look up around laryngitis and the sacred body language translation around that, and even the frequency of the voice and being heard? That, because I remember you were saying something earlier when you were talking about this frequency, that it's about, hearing, and also about our voices being heard. So this is pretty cool. What do you think about what I just said, Josie? And I love your the way you present and see people, just being with that patience and that compassion. That's just beautiful. And a lot of people need that's so important. I just invite people to remember, when we are having conversations, to take that time to allow for that patience and that compassion for people to hear differently and speak differently. So, what do you think, Josie?
Well, I think the receiving end of hearing is almost as important. I can't tell you the value of the the person that's listening to the person that can't hear, are trying to trying to project your message to them, and to keep repeating it. It just reminds me of dialing into a radio. You got to turn the volume up, and you have to be conscious of being on the right station. And that may not be exactly what we are talking about today, but to me, it's connecting that thought.
Mm-hmm. And this is interesting. No, I totally has to do with what we're speaking with today around this frequency. And remember, we had just a few a couple of recordings ago, we were talking about connecting, how we connect with the neck and all that stuff. So we're talking about this upper part, into the head area, and connecting conversations, hearing, speaking, all of those areas are being really are coming online. It feels like, and oh, I love hearing what you're saying here, Josie, and sharing with us. Kristen, did you locate some information around that?
Yes, they did. There's one question that kind of stands out a little bit, and it's having something to say because our laryngitis is located in our larynx, or right there in our throat, and maybe having something to say because you have so much knowledge, or um, so much life that you've lived. And this question just says, are you feeling wrong about something you need to say? Some of the conscious language upgrades are, I can say what is true. I can say what I feel. My world loves my truth. And so that's all upgrades for laryngitis. I choose to know if that has anything that's true for Josie at all. But those are the laryngitis body signals and upgrades.
Okay, great. And I know Josie had to just mute herself and drop off for a second. And boy, I can just feel the connection around this whole frequency that we're speaking to here. And with that, I'm going to bring Mia in and have her speak to what she's just heard here from Kristen and Josie and myself. And that way, if Josie just came back on, that'll give her a chance to listen to what Mia has to share with us about this frequency of the day of this time. Come on
I
in.
love it. I am just so fascinated with the full spectrum of it all and all the full circles and all the little authentic connections being made. Um, for me personally, it's always like literal in such a wild sense. Mine, and it's so relevant for today. This is exactly what I needed to hear. I have been playing with upgrading my little life over here. And last night I got greeted with another little bug and it was the tiniest little roach ever. And it was going just slow enough and went into the right corner where I could capture it. But so it's all about ego. And so, like, the last 24 hours, I've been wondering, like, okay, where do I have like this little tiny ego still flexing that I'm ready to let go of? And I didn't realize that it's because I'm being upset about how I'm feeling like I'm being heard. And so then I was thinking, when you were doing the conscious language upgrades, like, I I love the way I'm being heard, and I don't need to change the way people are hearing me. And there's like this controlling thing that I'm going through right now where I feel like, because people aren't in agreement with the way I'm being heard, that like it's not giving me what I desire, but really I'm being heard, and I love and accept the way I'm being heard because that's what's helping me choose to change and make different choices. So this has been really a lot for me to realize. But also I was thinking, like, just people being heard in general right now, and like we just had the big protests over the weekend and stuff. And so I think collectively, definitely there's like this something going on with people not feeling heard or wanting to be heard, or so it's very interesting.
Wonderful. To hear you bring in that aspect of being heard, and that it's perfect right where you are, that you are lovingly being heard, and just because someone doesn't have an agreement with what they hear from you, um, doesn't mean that they didn't hear you. And that's
Mhm.
that's also, look at this, how much we play with here
That's so much.
around hearing. And oh wow, this is just really again interesting for me as well, because so much of this is playing out right now in so many ways, and you just brought up quite a bit of them, Mia, in that experience that you've been having where you're at. And so I just want to honor all of that. And then Josie, I know you're having a challenge with being, speaking, and we're hearing you, and we just there was just so much that came from what you shared. Would you like to say anything more about um, what was brought up here?
Well, I think for me, it's the reception. It's a constant reminder all the time when someone is speaking to be with them and to be conscious, to be let them know, mostly with your eyes, that you're hearing them and that you're understanding them. And so that's what I feel my role is, because fortunately I have very good hearing, and it's something in reverse, to be able to tune into their ability to hear me, and for me to listen on the other end of it, and be present.
Oh, Josie, yes, receptivity. And I love you sharing um, about responding, if someone can't hear you, but showing them with your eyes that you heard them, showing using facial expressions
And
are a way to communicate, right?
yes,
To
and
give back.
on switching that around, being able to keep my eyes focused on them. And how many times have we talked to someone and their eyes are flitting from side to side, constantly moving from in front of you to away from you? And that's so frustrating.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they can't make eye contact.
Yeah.
You know, that's a thing about when you were talking about receptivity. So listening is definitely receiving information, right? And listening. Gosh, I would love. I will also post something along on this page when we get this up. Is a whole thing around listening, and the eye contact and the facial expressions and things like that. But yeah, eyes going all over the place are not making a connection, not being able to look directly at someone. That's not being in receptivity mode. And yeah, a kind of avoidance, right? Would that be the word I'm looking for? Avoidance.
And not present.
Yeah, not present. Who was coming in? Is that Mia? Someone was, I
No,
thought I
that
heard
was
someone.
Josie. But I'm just thinking, like, yeah, just they're not fully connected in that, some of us aren't fully connected. We're in a million places at once.
Yes. Kristen, you have anything more to say about that? About what's coming in about receptivity and being present and all of those things?
Yes, I love it. And it's just bringing in another way of translating all of these, and giving ideas of how this can be showing up in different ways.
It's
Yes.
funny that that would come up because I was thinking about that yesterday. I was walking and I'm always working. My job is very demanding. I'm always on and my phone is my work. So I'm always texting somebody, I'm always on a phone call, and I was walking and I was making a grocery list and I was texting people and I was like, wow, I've been reading that book Think Like a Monk and he talks a lot about like presence. And I'm like, I really want to just start practicing just doing one thing at a time. And just like if I'm walking, putting my phone away. And if I'm talking to somebody, just fully being there. If I'm doing a task, fully being present in that task, I'm sure I would accomplish so much more. And it's just wild how we're constantly pulled in so many directions. It's like it takes so much focus to be able to really just do one thing, and it's you feel like it's slowing you down, but really you would probably accomplish so much more by having the discipline to just focus on the task at hand or whatever conversation or
Whew, that's beautiful. I love hearing that, being present. All of those things would be so much easier if we were just present. The hearing, we could be hearing um, through, in our silence. One thing I've received is in my silence, I am heard. And I really truly believe that we could be standing there with one another, just being present with one another. And we would know what is in each other's heart in that moment. And everything would be okay. And we'd be heard in so many ways through our love with one another, right? Just feeling each other is that receptivity and being present in that moment and receiving, just even walking through nature and being present with the wind, with the birds, with whatever is there. And for those who can't, don't have the ears to hear, so to speak, um, that when we are present, there are things that we would hear that we don't need our ears for. We would hear them with our heart, is what I'm feeling, because those frequencies bring in, they're not just the five physical senses. It's expanded past and outside. Well, inside, deeply inside of us is where our senses are even more amplified when we're present. So, and I yield right now on what I just said. So I'm complete with, and I'd love to hear some feedback around that.
yes, 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 yes.
In our silence, we are heard. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to take a moment. I think we're all just feeling deep inside of ourselves, feeling each other's hearts, because I feel these women that are here. I'm feeling people who are going to hear this podcast very shortly after we're through, because this is so powerful. And I'm feeling this is so helpful for so many at this time. And so I'm going to start off next. We were talking about going ahead and providing some information of some upcoming frequencies that we will be having come into our being for November. And just to give you all a little heads up, as we do our frequency forecasts, we're becoming better and better at being able to provide the information in the moment for when you need it the most. And so you might get what we just did today in a few days, and it will still be a part of your energy, your life, and the frequency of the moment that you may have experienced. And you may still need to make some changes from what was going on. But also, we're going to give a frequency forecast, as I said, for November, so that you can move through what's happening today. Even if you come in a little late to hearing this presentation or this conversation that we're having here, to make those adjustments, you know, in this freaky side of life that we have, that we live in. And so we can change our frequency and change our life, or I should say, upgrade our life to an even greater, most wonderful quality of life that our heart chooses to have already. And so, Kristen, are you ready to come in with what's coming in for November?
Yes, I am.
I am.
Yeah, so the frequencies of November, we've got the color is green blue coming online, and it's also represented by the note of G and the astrological sign of Scorpio. So let's see, vitamin D is going to be in stress throughout the month. So it's important to make sure you get sunlight in the morning, especially morning light. And, you know, keep your body healthy for kind of the bugs that are just going around. So vitamin D is going to be in stress, along with zinc, glutathione, quercetin, vitamin C. Let's see, what else do we have coming online in November? We've got the glimpse system, which works interstitially between your tissues as a waste removal and a messenger service throughout the body. That is also going to be something that's great to really focus on. Fascia work is fantastic for that, keeping everything just running smoothly throughout the body. One thing that I really like that supports our glimpse system is, I choose to remember the word, but how I like to get it in my body is through drinking horsetail tea. And there's another word for it too. But horsetail tea is great to give to support your glimpse system. But that's a basic great overview of what's for November and things to just kind of be mindful of.
Wonderful. There's so much there. Then this is great that we can give a little heads up to everyone. And you know what this reminds me of when you brought up like glutathione or is it Kirsten? Gosh, I get that word. Kirsten, not Kristen, but
Quercetin.
Quercetin. There we go. Thank you. Those both show up, you know, I mean, this is a time where, you know, it's getting a little cooler. The heat is coming on. We're turning the heat on. So we're inside more. So we're getting more electromagnetic radiation because we're inside more. We also, you know, the heat is a little bit depleting with our, you know, dehydrating. And all of those kind of things, and they actually deplete those kind of things like glutathione, quercetin, and several of the, you know, vitamin D, because we're inside more, those kind of things. So I love that you brought on, you know, to view sunlight first thing in the morning. This is so beautiful. Sun gazing, totally about, you know, doing some of that. Also, I've been doing a lot of studies with water. I've been studying with Isabel Friend, who I just recommend everyone to go there and really, her courses on hydration and water and everything else are off the charts. They're just so beautiful. And one of the things I've learned the most that is really affecting us is what is called deuterium, which is it's around the hydrogen molecule and everything. And when we're high in deuterium, it destroys the mitochondria. And so many of us are living with high deuterium in our bodies, and we really need to get that lowered. And this is probably one of the top #1 things that comes in and affects the body more than anything else, because that has an effect on our circulation, the lymph system that you were bringing up, and so much more. hydration. You know, this is the time that we get dehydrated. This is the time also that when I was speaking of the electromagnetic radiation, being inside, just want to let people know electromagnetic radiation, so radiation poisoning, has the exact same symptoms and side effects of what they call COVID. And so a lot of times, and that can be very depleting, the side effects of, you know, losing your taste and smell and all and hearing, very possibly, and all those things really have a lot to do with being exposed to radiation when we're inside all the time. And those same symptoms, a lot of times we that it attacks our immune system, the lymph system, and things like that. So you might be going in and getting checked, and because you have those symptoms, that it's called so-called COVID, when really it's radiation poisoning. So you might want to look at that because it's the exact same. And usually that's around the time when they say it's flu season or COVID season. Now we don't really hear much about flu anymore, but you really want to look at just getting some frequencies to help you with that, that, you know, balancing those energies and the frequencies within your body, to make those change, to kind of bring you back to health. So there's many things, you know, as far as, yeah, getting that sunshine in the morning and sun gazing, getting some good quality water that is low in deuterium. And again, there's lots of great information on that, on how to, in foods that you can eat to help with all those things, and getting hydrated. We're going to be posting some of those things along with where you are listening from our platform, and getting you more information on those kind of things to help you with your health and well-being. So any last words about what was shared for November?
I just love seeing all the authentic connections and all the different ways that we all can share about how we're seeing and experiencing these frequencies. It's so wild to me how it can be so expansive. I'm grateful to know about it. It always makes me feel a little more sane.
Yes, right. That we can do something about it. This is about authoring our world, authoring what we choose to have in our lives. Josie, how are you, my dear? How's that voice of yours?
Well, it's about the same. Um, this our conversation and our information that we've gotten from Kristen has been very helpful, because it's a good reminder of uh, how important hearing is, and how we can be conscious of, maybe um, it can be dealt with in a whole different manner, both from the receiver and from the giver. And so I'm just pleased to be reminded.
Oh, Josie, you contribute so much to what we have to say and hear and be. And boy, the contribution you gave today about your experience is your wisdom. Whew, I always say you're so brilliant, Josie, because your wisdom and light just shines so bright here, and we are so blessed to have you, and your contribution to, you know, to our world here. So I love you so much, and thank you for being here, even when you're, you know, not feeling probably so great yourself, and then you hear and you show up and share your world. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And Kristen, any last words for you, my dear?
It's been a very full time that we've had today. And everybody's contributed so much. I've loved hearing everybody's personal experiences, and it's so fun to connect the dots always.
Yes, and thank you, Kristen, for just having this wisdom as well. again, for you, I think in all of us, that part of what we're learning, we teach best. I think that's what we're all doing right here. And I'm sure many people who are listening to our podcast right now, we're constantly learning something, and how wonderful it is that we can immediately transfer it to somebody else, because we can give some great information that can serve and help others. And so that's why what I'm learning, I teach best. And I hear that from you all the time, Kristen, with we're all in this brand new place. Behold, I make all things new, where we can be brand new every single day, where we can see that we can take the frequencies that are coming on the planet, and take them and make them our own in a way that supports who we are. And I'm learning so much from you, from Josie, from Mia, and sometimes even from myself. I remember things that I have learned in the past that often show up in the moment to share with others that I know have made a difference in my own life. So when I'm learning, I teach best. When I'm healing inside myself, I heal in others. And I love you all. Thank you all for being here. That includes my C's, which are self-empowering experts, giving you a self-empowering experience. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here at the Frequency Network. We love you. We're so glad to have you here and hearing all of this wonderful information that we love sharing with you. Have a beautiful day wherever you are, and take care. Breathe deep into your heart and love yourself even more today than you did yesterday.